Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here. Today I wanted to take a look at some more Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. Particularly I wanted to look at the Siege gameplay video that's been out for a while. It's only about 7 minutes, so I want to keep this video relatively short, but I am going to pause occasionally to talk about certain things. But otherwise I want to try to keep the commentary going along with the video. It's just going to be hard to do that for everything, so let's get this rolling, and I will do the commentary however I need to. But yeah, I want to analyze the things that we see in the video, as well as maybe present some questions about things that the video doesn't quite answer, or things that it kind of teases and doesn't quite show us all of. And so here's the first little look that we have, and obviously the UI has changed pretty significantly from Warband. Up at the top we have two little unit cards. We see that there are two different silhouettes on there. The one on the left is carrying like a sword or some kind of melee weapon, and the one on the right is carrying a bow and arrow. And we have some numbers on there, 275 and 63. I'm going to assume that those are saying that he has 275 infantry in his army, or in this case it's probably just melee troops in general, so all of his melee cav probably dismounted and lumped in with the infantry, and then 63 archers. And underneath that there's little like eagle type things that show some kind of bar. I'm going to assume that that's probably morale, but again, I'm just speculating here. And so I think this is a nicer way to present your overall troops that you're working with. At least I'm going to assume. And then we can see on the left that the command orders have changed pretty significantly, especially with regards to formation. So F1 is still movement, which I mean is pretty self-explanatory, but F2 is facing. That's something that we haven't really seen. So it looks like you can adjust your formations however you want them, whereas in Warband they were always facing relative to the enemy. And so this is something completely new. Spacing is not something new. It's something that we had in Warband, but it was under the F2 formation commands. You could tell them to go wider or closer, but not really anything beyond that. And so with this one, I'm not sure how specific you can get. All we can see here is that it says close. You might have several other options, but I imagine you'll have at least the two that we had from Warband. And then F4 is something completely new. This is width, and this is really cool because this allows you to further customize your formations more than you could in Warband, or any mod that I think we've seen for Warband. And so width, I guess, is pretty self-explanatory. It just adjusts how wide the formations are. But this is really cool because depending on what kind of units you're using, you may want to space out your formations differently. So, for example, for like a spear wall or a pike formation, you might want to spread it out a little bit thinner, have the ranks only about 2 deep, so you can get as many pikes, facing the enemy in that wall as possible. Whereas if you're working with like a unit of cavalry, you may want to put them in like narrower, deeper ranks so that they hit a much smaller area of the enemy line and punch through easier, and you can get more cavalry up through that rather than hitting the entire enemy's formation at once with one horse at a time, which obviously is not very efficient. F5 is pacing. That's something brand new as well. And so it looks like you can tell your troops to either run, walk, or probably jog. I hope that there's some kind of like formation advance in there that would be really cool. Like if you could, I don't know if they'll have like a testudo type thing, but if you could like have some sort of shield formation set up and have your AI march toward the enemy in their like protected shield ranks, that would be really, really cool. F6 is fire mode, so you can tell them to fire at will. Hopefully we see like volley fire that we've seen in a couple of Warband mods. That's something I really, really love about a Clash of Kings, is that you can volley fire on the enemy formations. It's particularly useful during like sieges and stuff, and so that's something I'd really like to see here. All we can see there is fire at will, but I imagine you can tell them to hold fire, fire at will. Hopefully we get to see that volley fire, and I can't imagine what else there would be, but it'd be cool to see as many options as possible. And then F7 we have horses. That's not something that I would have expected. It looks like from what the little image there says that it's probably just going to be like mount and dismount. I hope there's more options than that, otherwise it seems like kind of a waste of a command. But I mean, at least you still have that option for Warband. To have its own category like that, I would hope it was a little bit more fleshed out. F8 is Commander. That's something that we've never seen before, and I honestly don't really know what that could be. My guess, based on the little icon there, it's got like the arrow and the flag and it says player. I think you can pass on command to, like, say, if you join a battle alongside an AI Lord who's part of your faction, if you'd like him to handle the commanding and you just want to fight, you could pass commander over to him and let him deal with everything while you just, jump into the thick of it. Or maybe if he's commander and you don't think he's doing a good job, you can say, okay, I'm taking over the reins here, you go do your own thing. I'm going to worry about the formations here. I hope it's something like that. Based on the graphic there, again, that's what I would assume, but I don't know for sure. Obviously, we won't know for sure for quite a while. And then with F9, we have transfer, and I'm going to assume that that's moving, say, like your archers, once they've run out of ammo, you can tell them to join the infantry or something, and then you only have to command one group rather than two. But again, pure speculation here. So let's move on to the next little bit, which is going to be the siege engine placement. And so we see right here that on this particular area, he's got several options here. We've got like catapults or onagers or whatever you prefer to call them. There's a ballista. He doesn't have any of those. And then apparently he's got more of these with flaming ammunition, which is cool. And so as he places these, you can see that certain areas don't have the same options. The first four do, but then as he does these, they'll only have limited options. Like this one only has the battering ram, and this one only has siege towers. So it looks like there are limitations to what you can place where, but certain ones have a pretty wide range of options. And so it looks like you've got about 4 options to place whatever kind of artillery you want, and then 3 options to place sort of like your, I don't know if breaching equipment's the right word, but some sort of like, I guess breaching equipment's what I'm going to go with, but something to breach the door here, and then the siege towers, they don't really breach the walls, they kind of get you up over the walls, but you know what I mean. And so there are certain limitations here, but it looks like you can sort of customize or pick and choose what you want to place where to at least a small degree. And so that's pretty cool. The fact that they have these and that they're actually usable is really cool as well. And another thing here that I really like, I'll just keep letting this play, I really like that the commander's on horseback now, because if you don't want to necessarily get into the thick of the combat, if you want to play as more of a commander style character, now you can do that because you can ride around the battlefield on your horse, kind of avoid enemy fire a little bit easier because you're faster moving, and then be up on horseback where you can see a little bit better. Here we see the player jump in on the artillery alongside the AI characters. A question that I have from seeing this is where do the people who are using the artillery get pulled from? Because I think it could be a little bit detrimental to your force if, say, you've got, I'll use like a warband example here because that's what most people are familiar with. You've got a bunch of Nord Huskarls and then a bunch of Nord like recruits. You probably don't want your Huskarls running the artillery. You probably want the recruits doing it because obviously the Huskarls are much better used, running in there and fighting. So I would hope that there's some sort of, if not an option to let you choose, at least an algorithm that intelligently chooses soldiers that you probably wouldn't mind losing on the front lines so much, rather than like your best units that would really much be better served on the front lines. So here we see the player spotting the artillery and aiming it, and he's going to take out a little bit of the castle. And so we see our first little bit of destructible environments, which is really, really cool. My question is just how destructible are these castles? Because I would love to have the ability, if the AI wants to just like sit back and turtle, to just pummel this castle to the ground, bring the entire thing down. And I don't know how much of that castle actually is destructible, if it's just the little ramparts on the top, or what exactly is actually breakable, but the more the better, in my opinion. Another question I have is, how do they handle the ramifications of destroying the castles? So they took that little chunk of the wall out there. Next time you go to fight a siege battle, is it reset back to the basics? Do you have to, once you take the castle, repair that, pay some money, or spend some time to fix it? Or how does that work? Is it just like a one-time thing based on this battle? Or do these have like long-term consequences that, if you burn this castle to the ground, you've got to build it back up once you take it? Because that would be cool to see. I assume that's the route they're going to go, because this game has always been sort of about consequences, and with the new engine stuff, they certainly have the ability to do that. I really like seeing the dynamic ladders here. It would have been so much easier for them to just put the ladders in like they were in Warband, but here you're actually raising them. It's something you have to, actually do. We also see the AI running in and doing it themselves as well, and they're actually helping the player do it, so that's pretty cool. And then here we see the destructible gate. This is really cool because as the battering ram hits it, you actually see it breaking apart. It's not like, perfectly fine and then, it's broken. It's actually taking damage that you can visually see. And then here we see, the basically the same thing, but with the soldiers bashing the gate. And I do like that they've set up these castles in fairly historically accurate and logical ways. So they've got openings there, so when people break through into the gatehouse, they can lob stuff down. They're throwing fire pots and stuff. That's really cool. It's going to make defending your castle a lot easier. Although we still have the same like AI getting stuck on everything kind of appearance going on here. They seem to be kind of caught up on the battering ram there, so that's something I hope they fix. And here we see a siege tower. And I don't know where that broken wall came from, if that was already there, if that was part of the artillery fire. I like that there's actually ladders in this game now that you climb, rather than like awkward ramps and stuff that they were using before. This looks a lot cooler, and I'm hoping that you can shoot people off the ladders. I'm assuming you can, because that seems like common sense, but we don't know for sure. And here we see some combat finally. The player definitely cheats in here. You'll see him, yeah, there's a health cheat right there. We finally see some like enemy armor and stuff, though. The armor looks really, really good in the game so far. The shields look cool, the weapons look cool. So far, I really like the aesthetics of everything. They lack a bit of color, though. Everybody's wearing like white or brown, though, so I'd like to see more heraldry like we see on the shields. Maybe tunics with heraldry, stuff like that, but that's not really anything to do with the siege gameplay necessarily. The fighting looks nice and bloody. It looks a little bit spammy, but I think that's just because they have a developer playing, and the developers tend to not be the best players, at least from what I've seen. So yeah, and then here we get into the gatehouse. You can see where they're actually drawing the pots and stuff from, so that's cool. And it looks like all of these little locations actually can be fired out of, so that's really cool too. And it's set up pretty logically, so it would actually be fairly defensible. Here he goes spamming swings down the stairs, but you can see that the entire castle is pretty much accessible, which is really cool. So it's not just a big, castle from the exterior where you can only actually walk around on the walls. Like, you can see the keep there is actually enterable, and the enemy retreats into it. So that's really cool, because now the sieges will have like two phases, because you take the outer walls, and then the inner courtyard, everybody retreats into the keep, and you've got like another sort of minor siege on your hands, because you've got to break into this place. Although it doesn't look like they can barricade the door, but we don't see that here. That doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be done. I'm assuming that it can't, though. But that's something I'd really enjoy seeing, if you could sort of lock yourself in the keep and make one last stand in there or something. That would be pretty cool. He's going to run around the courtyard a little bit and miss some arrows. Actually, he hit that guy. Somebody on the comments in this video, someone was mocking him as an archer and considering how good his stats are, yeah, I can kind of see that, because I mean, you can see this thing when he draws it back, the thing barely moves. So he's got like really high power draw and archery skill, and he still seems to miss quite a few shots. But yeah, so that was pretty much everything we need to see there. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that they've added, obviously. I was really excited the first time I saw this. They're certainly taking sieges in the right direction. I love how open they are now. It's not like, okay, everybody march up the same ladder. We'll spend 15 minutes with the people on the top of the ladder swinging at the people in front of it, and you know, you're basically going to sit at the bottom of the ladder until everybody else dies, or you like glitch your way up to the top. No more of that. There's several realistic enterable locations. You've got siege towers that actually function like siege towers. You've got battering rams that actually batter down gates. You've got ladders, multiple ladders that actually work like ladders. And so the sieges look really cool. I think they're going to be really enjoyable to do. I don't know how much fun it'll be on the other end defending, because it's going to be a lot more challenging now, but I think a lot of people will like that. Where, you know, in Warband, you could pretty much sit at the top of a ladder with a giant two-handed axe and just basically defend a castle by yourself. In this, it's obviously not going to be the case because you've got so many different spots to defend, but I think that's going to make it a lot more fun and a lot more challenging. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to try to keep it short, so we'll probably end it in just a second here. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. There's a lot to be excited about here. There are a few questions I'd like to have answered, like I said, what some of those different command options are, where exactly they're pulling your siege engineers from, because again, if they're taking like your top tier troops, that's really going to suck. I hope it's not completely random, or whoever's closest by. I hope they actually, you know, pull some of like your, you know, cannon fodder to do it, because they're not going to be missed in the front anyways. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I love covering Bannerlord, and it seems like you guys are really enjoying the Bannerlord coverage that I've been doing, so I'm going to try to keep doing as much as I can. Next time, I think we're going to look at one of the 30-minute gameplay videos where they go through one of the towns, and there's a lot of features that they show in that one too, so I'd like to kind of do the same sort of analysis and raise some questions. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Had a great time showing off some Bannerlord for you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next video.